Hey gang, Mike Pfeiffer, Pfeiffer Hobby Supply. We're going to do 122. I'm going to assemble all these videos I took while I was working on that back there. And we'll see what it looks like. By the way, I'm sorry, but I have a sinus infection and I kind of been down under the weather, and it has affected my teeth on my left or my right hand side and so forth, but I think I'm getting somewhere with it, so sorry about that. It put me a little behind, but let's see what I got. Okay, the good news is that I got everything back in here out of Robin's shed where I put it while I was working out here, and I'm still working out here, but I have room to put this stuff out here. Gavin's boxes are back under here. The tote boxes are back under there, and you knew this stuff was here. Now, I had lent my rock molds out, and had a little trouble getting them back from the gentleman that I lent them to, but that's okay. I got them back. And I did some rock molds the other day. I told you I was going to put the plaster cloth on. I don't remember whether I took a picture of the plaster cloth, but the plaster cloth is on, and the plaster is on, and the rocks are on. Now, mind you, at both ends, as we've discussed, this end down here is not done. I have to figure out how I'm going to do the view block there. And this end down here is not done. Now, for many of you that I've talked to, and I had a couple of suggestions from guys about down here using shaper sheet. My experience with shaper sheet has been bad. I don't care for it that much. It doesn't conform to the shape that I want it to conform to. I suppose in some circumstances it's good, and this might be one of those circumstances, in that I can probably make my little fold over right here with the shaper sheet and then taper it down kind of where I want it to be there. Plus, on the other side over here, I think I can make my like half tunnel here all the way down with shaper sheet, down at least most of the way down there, if not all the way down there. And if I do that, and then I adhere some hot glue some foam to the very underneath of the window frame, and then stick the shaper sheet in there, I can get that to stay in place and still be able to lift it out. Another thing you will notice here is I have a piece of styrene hot glued up under my turnout here, so you can see that that makes a ground level place to do scenery work. That's in place and permanently in place. Let me stand up here on top, or let me get up on top, and I'll show you what this looks like behind. Okay, so I have newspapers back here to keep the plaster off, and probably that's going to stay there until I get some of the painting done and the ground cover done. But you can kind of see how that's going to come together there. And the lower I go, you can kind of see how the view block works. And you can see that Schmelly Meats will barely but fit in there. That's okay. We can still use it as a destination on the layout. We will still be able to use it. Now, coming down here, of course the scenery needs to be done from there all the way down to the end. Not a big deal. I think it's going to be relatively easy, as I said. I still don't have any good ideas for inside of here. I have about 2/3 of the wiring tied back up underneath, but as you can see, I still have some wire hanging, and I got that light plug hanging there, that Woodland Scenics light plug hanging there, and I don't know where it goes. I gotta trace that out. I'm gonna have to pull all the wiring. I got some wiring tied up, and I'm gonna have to pull it all apart to find out where that goes. Obviously, these wires here just need to be tied up, and the light hub just needs to be hooked up somewhere. It's really not a lot of work under here, and when I get that work under here, as I've said before, done, then I can move all of those black tub storage containers back under here where they were. And when I do that, obviously that'll free up room. Now, just to back up just a little bit here, you guys know I've been selling a bunch of N-scale stuff. I still have quite a few N-scale buildings back here, and some HO. No, I don't have HO buildings. I have N-scale buildings back here, but they will probably all go on eBay instead of my site, for maybe some obvious reasons, in that I would be competing with myself. But I have a whole box full of N-scale structures there that I'm going to have to get rid of. I bought these fire engine kits that all seem to be complete, with the exception of this white one on top that seems to be missing the red lighting. Then underneath that, there are a bunch of River Rossi locomotives and cars, and as you can see, blue box ACTRR locomotives there. This will all be the stuff that I'm going to try and get listed and get rid of next, be it on eBay or whatever. I think these model kits I'm going to try and sell locally through Craigslist or something. They're just too hard to ship. That being said, that's kind of what I got going on here with the estate stuff. There's much more stuff to sell, but it's all larger scales, HO, O, and G. And I don't know how far I'm going to go with that. But anyway, as you can see, that's where I'm at right now. Okay, so I've been out here about 30 minutes, and I got some paint sloshed on the hill back there. And you can see that the rocks blend in pretty well. I like the colors. I'm getting lighter as I come down here. I did paint some on the rocks back against the backdrop back there. Not the rocks, but the plaster back against the backdrop, and I think that looks pretty good and ties in pretty good. Now the only thing is, when I get this made, just touching that up, and down here at the other end, when I get that view block made, touch that up. No big deal. I really like the colors of the rocks. I've got to go back in and do a black wash on it, highlight the cracks and crevices, and then do a white dry brush on top of those and bring out the colors of the rocks. But so far so good. I notice I have a couple of places up here where I don't have any paint, those white spots there. I'm going to touch those up real quick and let me swing around. And this is simply my palette. I had about 4 or 5 colors on here. The dark gray went on after. I had a medium gray, a real light gray, the red, and the black. And all I do is just make it real wet and slosh it on there. I don't know why everybody thinks that when you paint a layout, you have to put it on there like you're painting a house with a roller. It doesn't need to be that way. If you've got plaster down, that color will soak into the plaster. So you can put it on there real wet. So anyway, I'm going to go back and touch that little spot up. Then maybe a little later on I'll do some washing, black washing. We'll see how that brings stuff out. And the third step would probably be putting some ground cover on it. But we'll see. Well, I had said before that I hate shaper sheet. After putting this small piece in there, I still hate shaper sheet. It just does not make the form I want to make. I am going to go ahead and leave it there because it's pretty supportive, but I will put plaster cloth over it and form the plaster cloth into what I want, because I definitely don't like that shape. I mean, it looks like a folded, crumpled piece of tinfoil, and that's exactly what it is. It's just ugly. But I will fix it. I'll cover it up with something. But let me step back here. And you can see that it makes a pretty good view block down through there. or it will make a good view block down through there. So we'll see how this pans out. Not sure exactly how that's going to work, but we'll see. Okay, gang, I have the landforms made there where the track comes up from downhill. I'm just waiting for this. I'll wait for this plaster cloth to dry. And if I swing around here, I have some paper pulled up in the back, but I have that little transition pretty much in check, I believe. I stand back here, I kind of like the way that looks. If I swing around, I kind of like the way that looks. So I think that's where we're going to leave it for right now. I did have another casualty, broke my billboard, but that's okay, I can put it back together. So that's where I'm leaving this one today. Okay, gang, I'm going to do some plastering, and this is about the consistency that I like to use. And then I use a spray bottle to wet down the plaster cloth before I put this on. And then I also have a tub about this size with some water in it so I can thin it down and kind of smooth it out and move it around a little bit. So I dip the brush in there, clean the brush up once in a while, and then spread it out with the wet brush. And this is what I use, about a 50-50 mix of the Gypsolite by Scenic Express, simply because it has some texture in it and you have time to work with it. And the same thing with the carving plaster. It's a very fine plaster. I don't know, I just prefer mixing it 50-50. It just makes the Gypsolite go a lot further. I also sometimes sift some of the texture out of the Gypsolite with a strainer. I am not doing it on this background stuff. I would probably only do that on the foreground stuff, just because the texture is a little too heavy, because it's more, if you look at it real close, up close, it's more HO scale, but in the background stuff, it makes the rocks, the texture makes it look like there's bigger rocks in it. But anyway, this is the texture. This is what I use, about 50-50. Okay, gang, I put some plaster on the end pieces here. I'm a little worried about clearance issues there, but if it doesn't work out, I'll push it in, bend it in, replaster it. Down here, I have also put some plaster in, just used up what I could, and you can see that looks pretty good right there. I like that. That being said, that's about all I've got this morning. As you can hear, I've got the creeping crud of some kind. Not exactly sure what, but I'll get over it. Talk to you later. Bye. Okay, everybody. I kinda have some of this ready to go, with the exception of ground cover, of course, but I have pulled up all the tape and paper, which left a bunch of crumbs and mess here, which I'm going to vacuum up as soon as it all dries up. And then I've got to do something with this edge right here, but I'm not sure what, and that can be done anytime. But once I put ground cover on here, you can kind of see how that's gonna blend in and look good and create a backdrop. And I'm standing on a stool right now, so you can't see that track back there. It's that simple. Sorry for my throat, I've got something going on. And you can see the track going back through there. Even if you stand at just a 2 or 3 degree angle, there's a pretty good, it hides it pretty well back there. Once I get that crud vacuumed up, I'm going to run some trains around and see if everything clears everything. But let me get up here. But yeah, you can see how that works around there for the most part. More to do, but generally it's there. Okay, gang, when I test ran the train over here, I had a little interference problem with the side of the hill, so I had to wet that and push it in some, and I'll touch it up later, but we're going to watch the train when it comes over here and see if we clear this time. It looks like right at the end there I still have a little bit of a problem. So I'm going to fix that and we'll let her go around again. Okay, here we come again. I pushed it in a little more. And it would appear that we do not have any interference problems now. The train just barely squeaks by. Now I'm going to try and run it down and up. Okay, and here she comes up. We'll see how it makes out through here. And it looks like no problems there. So it looks like we have proof of concept. Next step is to get those two turnouts hooked up so that I can do upper level, lower level. Okay, gang, I hope you enjoyed that little compilation of videos that I put together while I was working on this over here. And as usual, thanks for watching.